Songs of Silence. Beloved Swaha, since my last retreat in Brazil, my body has been in a collapsed mode. At the same time, I have contemplated on what a seeker is. I have since birth been a very sincere and focused teacher, a focused seeker. I haven't been that much teacher, I've been a seeker. I've had silent sitting, so I've been a little bit of inspiring for some people at Ängsbacka for like 7 years. But anyway, I have since birth been a very sincere and focused seeker. First on the outside, then on the inside and outside. But what is this seeker that I have become so identified with? It's just something that is seeking happy experiences. But all these experiences are very temporary. They lose meaning after they have been achieved. Then the search starts again. More experiences. But the seeker is never satisfied. The seeker is a must for self-realization. But it's also an obstacle for liberation. Even the words self-realization and liberation implies that it is something that is possible for the seeker, for the mind, for the I. The seeker, the mind, the I can never ever be liberated. The seeker, the mind, the I is the obstacle. Consciousness does not need to be liberated. It is already free. It has always been free and will always remain free. It simply is unchanging and free by nature. But if we start talking of conscious of, aware of, then there is two. And we may have fallen into duality. So maybe awareness or consciousness is not the right term for who we really are, beyond the games of duality and separation. Maybe that is why Nisargadatta said, I am that. But again, here we have an I, a somebody there. Yet, if we say nobody as the proper term, there is an opposite term called somebody. Suddenly we're back in duality. Same with the term silence. It has the opposite term of noise. But I know that the silence you refer to is a word that describes the eternal silence. A silence that stands on its own, without any opposites. I also like Eckhart Tolle's stillness, something that is unchanging and ever-present. Yet with stillness comes movement. The restless body-mind is moving. And at the same time, we have something that is still and unmoving within us. We can call it an observer. Yet it's easy to fall into the trap, calling part of the mind an observer. One part of the mind watching other parts of the mind. That is not awakening. Awakening is also a word who has no reality. Who is awakening? Not the mind, because the mind can never become awakened. The mind is living in a dreamlike state, in an illusion. The real cannot be asleep, since it has always been there. Again, the term real indicates that there is something called unreal. In that perspective, the life lived in duality is unreal. Yet that is what people in general call the real world. Eckhart Tolle also uses the term presence. And that is quite a good term. Because now, when I write all this, I become present. My mind is used to try to convey a deeper truth through words. Even the word truth can be an obstacle. Because if truth exists, then also untruth must exist. And here we are, back in duality. Muji uses two aspects of being a human being. One deeper self and one dynamic self. I guess one can call one of the term real and the other term unreal. Yet the real is really real, and the unreal is something that appears to be real, but it's not really real. The nobodiness would be the real, and the somebodiness would be the unreal. Yeah, everything is opposite when you look at it from the right perspective. The body will certainly not last forever. It's temporary and very short-lived in the eyes of the eternal life. The idea of living several lifetimes after each other also strengthens the idea of an individual self that survives death. But in the eyes of the eternal, non-moving presence, that is irrelevant. It may be true, or it may not be true. But I guess we have some individuality beyond this what we call a body. I guess in the highest sense, we don't exist as a separate entity. The highest aspect of us, we're all one. There is only oneness. There's only wholeness. Everybody is connected to everything. And yet from that oneness, wholeness, we have decided to become individuated, so to say. But here on planet Earth, the separation games is everywhere. And I've been very much part of that. Okay, let's go on here. But what is the body? Is it solid? Is it empty? It contains water. But basically it's empty. And what is water? Suddenly the water becomes clouds. And then it can become ice. So it disappears and takes different forms. The body has its own intelligence regardless how the mind is acting. Breathing is happening automatically. Blood is pumping in the veins. The mind, what we call the mind, is creating lots of problems. Interpretation of what everything means. Often the worst scenario. One thought leads to another thought, that leads to another thought, that leads to another emotion, that leads to another emotion, and another thought and emotion. And on it goes, and lives its own life, making the experience on planet Earth to a dark and messy experience. This is Kali Yuga, the dark age, and we are in the middle of it. Or in the beginning of it, or in the end of it. Who knows? Will we turn it all around? Will we destroy ourselves? Or will we awaken to the consciousness we are? Yet who knows? If we live in the unknown, we cannot know. We can just enjoy the ride. The mind does not like the unknown. The mind likes safety, a safe and boring life. That is the truth. The mind is a terrible master. It always looks for negativity. It uses thoughts and emotions in a spiraling and chaotic way. One thing leads to the next in a never-ending story. Yet the mind is not ultimately real. Nor is the story, since the story is created by the mind. It interprets and creates stories, and often a lot of suffering. So the Buddha was right when he said, life is suffering. However, he also stated there is a way out. And that way is a way in, coming back to the source. So we can stop and be aware what the mind is doing to us. So something within us is not the mind. Something that is witnessing. Something that is present. I use the word something, but it is actually a no thing. It is nothing. Nothingness means that there are no objects. It's just pure nothingness, which at the same time means fullness. And that can be very confusing for the mind. How can that, what we truly are, be both full and empty at the same time? Only when the I disappears can we truly be empty. Being empty means that you do not exist as an object any longer. You have become a hollow bamboo. You have disappeared and instead become wholeness. You are whole and you are everything. There is no separation between you and anything that exists. All the physical appearance looks like a separate object, but with a closer and deeper look, it's part of the whole. Jesus and Hitler are both part of the whole. Some beings may shine more or vibrate in a higher speed, but nevertheless, they are all part of the whole. Both the relative and the absolute belongs to the whole. Both the dual and the non-dual belongs to the whole. Wholeness is all there is. Amen. Yeah, see, it's important. We have the duality and we have the absolute. And the world, the wholeness contains both of them. It's just a word, but it's kind of trying to embrace both the absolute and the relative. Because here on planet Earth we have duality, we have good and bad, and all these opposites. But we can also connect with something that's absolute, that has no opposite. And the experience of life contains both. So we can say the duality, the body and everything that's happening with it is also real. It's not as real as the absolute, but it's still happening, something here. So somebody is sitting here, nobody is sitting here, trying to read this, what I wrote in the retreat there. Anyway, I write it again here. Duality is ultimately not real, but at some level it is real. That's what I just said. On planet Earth we have opposites, like love and hate, sweet and sour, black and white, kind and unkind, happy and sad, and so on. To know who we are, we have to break through this illusion. It sounds like it's something we need to do, but breakthrough happens by not doing, by relaxing into being. We are human beings, not human doings. Even the language tells us what's true, not true. Doing can happen, but the essential is to be a human being. Thinking is also doing, and thinking happens. We just need to learn to watch the thinking and to not get involved with it. We know how thinking and emotions takes us away from being joyful in the present moment. Past and future is not real. It's just programs in the mind that make us believe it is so. I'm so happy because I've been writing since the journey started, like almost 30 years ago. And I've read these things, mainly in Conversation with God material. He talked about all these things, but now it's all these words coming from the inside when I am in a retreat. So they're starting to get a neck of it. Even though there is no I, there is something that's using the words here to, and I get a lot of energy on my crown chakra, and I feel joyous and present when I'm reading these things. But because for many years now there's not many words coming, so I'm really happy when the words come, so the divine can express itself somehow. Yeah, I get energy on my crown now also. It's coming, and that's a connection that has become stronger and stronger. And yesterday when I was sitting with some people online, it's just poof, and the it's just so strong. It's like a totally different reality. Yeah, so the duality and absolute is both happening simultaneously in this body. It's like Nisargadatta. Love tells me I'm everything. Wisdom tells me I'm nothing. Between the two, my life flows. My neighbor is out walking there, I saw them. Okay, beloved Swaha. Since the retreat in Brazil, I have been collapsing. With that comes a loss of a seeker. The seeker I've been so identified with, more or less since birth. On the inner journey, since 1995. The seeker has been a great companion in my life, but I now realize that it has become an obstacle. With the loss of the seeker comes a little depression, a feeling of meaninglessness, and a sense of being disoriented. I become more or less ambivalent about more or less everything. Before I knew exactly what my next step would be. Now I get so much energy. It's like I'm telling the truth now where I'm in this caravan, which train station I'm on. Hopefully I'm not on a train station, I'm beyond the train station. But now I'm at a loss. I do not know. Mind is still trying to operate as before, but I more or less ended up laying in bed or on my couch. My old ways of being is gone, but the new has not yet arrived. My tickets to India, Bali and Brazil are booked, so I will proceed with that. Why not? Yeah. But it's not so important as it was before. It's like the tickets are booked. If I hadn't booked the tickets, I would probably do something else. But I booked it because it's cheap to book them early, and then I have to stick to the plan. Otherwise, yeah, I don't like to waste money somehow. Okay. But I would maybe do another choice today. Yet I do not know what that choice would be. Yeah, here it comes. Maybe I would do more retreats with you, Swaha. But at the same time, I'm not so eager. It's almost like nothing matters. Will I be more of a non-seeker if I hang out with you? Or has that recognition already happened? I mean, right now I know, but when I wrote it, I wrote, I don't know. It is confusing to live in the unknown without the seeker. Yet when I write this, there is a presence and aliveness in me. And I feel it now also. I'm very present and alive. I'm tired and collapsed, and yet very much present in the here and the now. It's like nothing is missing, and that I have to get used to not knowing. 2 years ago, I had a long, blissful awakening experience that lasted for 5-6 weeks. And after that, there has been a long stay in the valley, far away from the peak states I experienced. And as I'm writing now, there is no bliss. I'm a little blissed out now when I'm reading. But there is a very strong presence of being here and now. Yeah, we have to live in the moment. When I wrote it, I said there's no bliss. Now I would say it's a little bliss. So that's a good learning. Even when I write, it's like, it's not something, a few things can be like eternal wisdom, but some is just, it's just changing. Everything is changing, and yet there's the eternal inside us, the non-moving presence. I could also see in the mirror when I brushed my teeth that my eyes are really shining. So this is a very good moment for me, and I look forward to see what tomorrow brings. Good night, Swaha. Yeah, I was writing to him, mostly to myself, but. And the next day, I can never get enlightened. All trying to get somewhere is futile. Yet I've been trying and trying and trying and trying. When I do not expect anything, it can suddenly appear. A glimpse, a moment of being, that which we cannot name or talk about. It's a knowing beyond knowing. It cannot be known by the mind. The mind has to be empty. Being empty, being nothing, or just being is a pointer to what is. We know when we think and get involved with thoughts, and that is not it. Yet the thoughts can persist to go on thinking. Mind is a thought machine. That's something Rahasya told me. I'll never forget that when I was in Stockholm, together with my brother Klaus. Mind is a thought machine, he said. Yeah, and it came here now. It's maybe 20, 25 years ago he said that. We just have to be wise enough to not get involved. So what is it that should not get involved in the thoughts? Something, or rather nothing, is there. We cannot locate it to be somewhere within the body. Yet for this body-mind there can be sensations on my crown chakra, which feels like a connection with the higher and all that is. Yeah, I've had this connection with in the crown chakra. I even had during my first years when I went to some spiritual meetings there. I met Cecilia and Dag there, and they had some meditation happening, and when I was sitting there, that was the first time I felt really strong energy on my crown chakra. And when I have that, I just feel so amazingly connected with the divine, with everything. I feel it now also. Suddenly I feel a strong presence within me. I feel peaceful and alive. That's it, huh? Peaceful and alive at the same time. Being like rested and alive. Alive without pushing or seeking. Stillness and aliveness. It's being empty and full at the same time. So somehow by writing like this, I can return to awareness, to the source, or whatever name you wish to give it. Something that is not thoughts, not feelings, not emotions, not sensations in the body. It just is. It just is what it is. I guess we can call it a natural state, how we functioned as children. Yeah, now more energy is coming. When we did not engage much in past or future, nor did we think that much. Yeah, I remember my childhood. Everything was so exciting, just going out in the street. We didn't think, we just did what we did. We played and lived in the moment. Life was happening. Yeah, I was thinking of Eckhart Tolle now. He was suicidal. He didn't want to live when he grew up. But I felt good. I enjoyed my life all the way up till I was 35 and my partner left me. Then the journey started. So up to then, I didn't feel anything was wrong. I just had my alcohol, out running, working, having sex and all these things. That was enough then. But since then, my life has changed around. We played and lived in the moment. Life was happening. Yeah, that's it. Life happens by itself. Why do we lose this state as we grow up and become adults? As we grow up, we become more and more in the head. Yeah, it's a movement from playfulness going up to the head, becoming serious. We are trained like that. Our parents, our school, our society make sure that we leave our innocence, our playfulness, our natural state. Now we are addicted to our phones and computers. These devices are created by the head, and it is an extension of living in the head. Yeah. Our whole society is moving towards more head, more plastic, more fake, more of an unnatural life. How to get out of this labyrinth of the mind? Yeah, it is a labyrinth, and it's not easy to get out when you are lost inside it. The mind lives in the past and in the future. We should understand that it's not real. It is an illusion appearing real. It's not really real. It's something. If something happens, it happens now, not in the future, and definitely not in the past. The past is dead. The past is gone. It was then, it is not now, and life is now. I'm so happy when I read what I have written. It's so, and I can't do it again. It happened in the moment and it felt true. And when I read it now, I feel, my God, this is so nice. You have this wisdom, whoever this you is. I'm repeating myself, of course. I'm talking about this seeker collapse thing again. The retreat was 9 days, so I wrote a little bit here and there. Beloved Swaha, since the retreat in Brazil, I felt rather collapsed with the loss of a future-oriented seeker. With that, I have lost the seeker. I have felt depression, meaninglessness, being disoriented and ambivalent when it comes to everything. This seeker has been a wonderful companion, but it's now burning itself out. Luckily, I've had a job where I can work as many hours as I want. 3, 4, 5 hours. And I can also take a day off whenever I want. The rest of the time I've been spending in my bed or on my couch. I've never felt so lazy and collapsed in my entire life. This creative, wonderful seeker is crumbling. It asks, what about me? Yeah, there's some creativity here. I haven't lost that one, and the wonderful part in me, I'm still wonderful. But the kind of seeker to get something is crumbling. The seeker is so oriented on the future. Once I get there, I will be happy and free. And it never comes. It never delivers. Yes, seeker, you have been a great friend, a wonderful companion, but your time has come. It's just like the octopus in the movie, The Octopus Teacher. It gives birth to a baby octopus and at the same time extinguish itself. This is so beautiful. I get so much energy when I write this. It gives birth to a baby octopus and at the same time extinguish itself. It's like a suicide for the seeker. But this baby is coming. And what this baby is, I do not know. But tears are rolling down on my cheeks. Yeah, it's so beautiful when the tears are coming, when I hit what I really need to accept and integrate. I guess I'm scared of the unknown, and yet there is no turning back. I cannot push myself any longer. At the age of 65, I am retiring from the seeker. What is left is the unknown, and I see that the seeker was never really real. The seeker was never really real. Yeah, it's real on some level, but it belongs to the mind, so that's why it's not really real. Every time I had a satori or even a longer period of being awakened, the seeker claimed it. The seeker claims ownership, and that is the illusion, the misconception. Yeah, you have this awakening, and immediately the seeker says, I got it finally. But the satoris, the awakenings, came in spite of the seeker energy. Yeah, I get so extra energy on my crown now. Now I'm crying, now I'm sobbing. That's what I did when I wrote it. And I really need to take this in now. This I say I, but there's no I here. I know that you, Swaha, have been talking about these things all these years, but these are my words, coming from the inside of me. And who is this me? I do not think anybody knows. It's just a mystery. I had a good cry now, giving birth to myself. Thank you for having been such a rock in my life. You have always showed me what is possible. I feel a little empty and still a little lost now. What to do now? Yeah, when I wrote it, I felt it. Now I don't feel so lost. I feel great, actually. I guess it's the mind that asks such a stupid question. You don't have to guess. It is the mind asking such a stupid question. What to do now? Since life is not about doing, life is being. Deep down, we are all human beings, but we got lost as human doings. Yeah, and I remember some guy somewhere, where I was 20, 25 years ago, some spiritual gathering or so, and he talked about this being and doing. And I heard this expression also when I was a kid, First time when I heard to be and not to be, that is the question with Shakespeare. I had goosebumps all over my body at the age of 8 or 9 or 10, something like that. I'll never forget that, because there was sensations I've never felt, other than being a scout in the forest and we were sitting around the campfire. That was also kind of a magic Satori. Without knowing, it was a little Satori happening in this little young boy. Well, the mind loves the future and the past. The mind cannot survive in the now. And now is all there is, this instant. Writing this, and the mind becomes quiet, non-existent, just for a moment. Yeah, because when I write, I use the mind to write. And then it becomes a servant, a friend. Yeah, I get more energy on my crown when I'm saying this. That's how the mind should be a tool. Instead of me being used by the mind, I should use the mind. The real me, consciousness, whatever we call it. Writing this, and the mind becomes quiet, non-existent, just for a moment. The beauty of the mind is that it can be an excellent servant of the truth, like right now. Writing these letters and these words pointing to the now, to the eternal truth. With that, I get a little energy. I get a lot of energy on my crown chakra. No need to dwell on the possible decisions for next year. Where to be, where to go, how to retire, how much to work, thinking about money, blah, blah. Decisions can be taken later. Don't miss the moment. It is here now. Thank you, beloved, for another awesome retreat. The seeker is crumbling. The heart is on fire. It's amazing what can happen during 1 week with you and this wonderful Sangha. At midnight with a silly grin on my face. Love, Ananta. Yeah. It's amazing what can happen in a retreat, but it's amazing what can happen in your kitchen also. And I feel my heart, I feel the sensations in my heart. And all the time coming energy from my crown, in my crown chakra. And of course the eyes become very clear when I do these things. So it's a great tool. I want to inspire all of you to use the camera whenever you have something deeper to talk about. And maybe a few years later you take out this video and you sit and give satsang to yourself. Oh, did I say that? I can't remember, because we live in the moment. Maybe it's not needed, I don't know. But for me, it's been a wonderful tool to use the camera like that octopus, giving birth to myself, finding that within. Even though it's not only within, it's everywhere on the outside also. I mean, we're vast, we're empty, vast, and we're just falling into being nothing. And people are, when you say to people, I'm a nobody, people say, are you crazy? No, you're really somebody. Yeah. Yeah. Some people come and say, oh, you're doing such a good job. Oh, I'm just being myself. They've got it all twisted wrong. But for me also, I've been pushing myself all my life, so it's finally time to relax. Okay, yeah, I feel energy on my crown chakra. I feel sensations in my heart area. I feel peaceful. I feel it was nice to do this video. There was some psychic saying that I was working with film in the 1940s in LA. I don't know if it's true, but I've always enjoyed camera. As soon as I got my first camera, I started to film my kids, and I really enjoyed that. When we were on holiday, I was running around with the camera, filming them, and then at night we could watch what we'd done during the day. Yeah, yeah, it was fun. I feel more in my heart now, thinking about my kids. Just had a little chat with my oldest son Alexander, and he sent me a picture on his kid who is seven months now, and it's so fun to see the videos and the photos he's taking. He's really good with taking pictures and that. Being in the moment, getting that shot. So I'm happy to have that connection. Happy I became a grandfather, because not all seekers have had that. Many seekers just get stuck in to find out who they are first. But I was totally unconscious when I had children. So I had a lot of luggage, but the last almost 30 years I've been had a lot of time to catch up with the eternal. Even though I had these moments as a child, I didn't take notice. And as I said, I didn't feel bad when I grew up. I didn't know what I was doing when I was drinking alcohol and working and running and having sex and traveling and all this. It was just my way of living. So, but for the last 30 years, I've been trying, all the things has been coming up. Yeah. And maybe the journey goes on. I don't know. We will see. Yeah, I would be happy just to share things like this, not to get back into the story which is not really real, and instead reminding ourselves about the eternal self, about being nobody, to being fully empty in the mind and fully full in the heart. That's the way to be full and empty at the same time. Like Nisargadatta said, love tells me I'm everything. Wisdom tells me I'm nothing. Between them, my life flows. I love that because it happened to me. I was standing singing like crazy when it happened to me, that realization, in 2002. So it's like, my God, it's 21 years ago. Some moments I'm everything. Some moments I am free. I open my heart. Where else can I be? To be or not to be? That is the question in this blessed world. La 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 la. Some moments I'm nothing. Some moments I am free. I open my heart. Where else can I be? To be or not to be? That is the question in this blessed world. La 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 la. Hello Anant, I'm everything. Hello Vasant, I'm free. I open my heart. Where else can I be? And on it goes. I was singing to all the enlightened beings I knew of. It's funny, Nisargadatta is coming up here so strongly in me today, and I'm sure he must have sent me something from heaven. And also 2 years ago, when I was breathing, and suddenly I met Jesus on the cross there. It was, and he showered me with it was going around full of grace for weeks afterwards. It was just amazing. But then a long period of being in the valley, more garbage coming up, and I met some so-called enlightened being in Denmark, and it was just, all my past came up through him. This guy was not so sensitive and seemed to have a lot of stuff left there. Yeah, so I don't know. If someone has been enlightened for 30 years can behave like he does, then, my God, I will never be finished. Who knows? I'm just, yeah. We all get what we need. Yeah, I feel energy on my crown chakra. And I feel my heart. Okay, thank you for today. I bow down to you, Ananta. Beautiful what you have shared. Yeah. Okay, bye bye. Thank you.